What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Wednesday, that's right, but I don't have to tell you, it certainly feels like a hump day. Bitcoin is down 6%. We're actually sitting just below $10,000 now. The question is, are we going to actually close below 10,000? We're currently below 10,000 at the time of making this video, but a lot of things could change, especially in the hours after I put this video out, but we're going to have a look at exactly what is going on. You can see right here over on ByBit. ByBit is actually currently sitting around $9,957, whereas the actual price is $9,949. So are we looking for a little bit of a reversal after that dump? Well, you can see over here, we were putting in the bear flag, and it looks like that's exactly what happened. We dumped down, however, we did not put in a lower low. And that's something that I want to talk about today. So we're going to talk about, obviously, Bitcoin price action. Now, today's video is going to be a little bit quick. I do have a lot I want to go over. Some of the other things I'd like to talk about today include basically talking about the Bitcoin network, the hash rate, some statistics, because there were actually some Bitcoin mining farms in China that got hit with a mudslide. So there's a lot of miners that are pretty much, well, they're out of commission for the short term, so we're going to discuss how that affected the network moving forward, and I also want to talk about Tether making a tether peg to offshore Chinese yuan. What is going on, guys? We're going to talk about that today. If that sounds good to you, well, you know what to do. Also, if you're not subscribed to the Crypto Zombie channel, what are you waiting for? We do this every single day. Now let's have a look. Let's give this market a quick refresh live. Bitcoin dominance at 69%. You are seeing Bitcoin down 6.35% now. Some of the altcoins getting hit quite hard. Let's see how they're doing compared to Bitcoin comparative. There are some of the altcoins that are actually holding their ground. A lot of them are, however, being dragged down, unfortunately, with Bitcoin. Now you do have you really don't have any gainers, really, in US dollars. You have Rift token, Ethereum Classic, that's it. But if you switch it to the Bitcoin comparative, well, you do have some that are up. You can see right here. But let's have a look. Let's dive in. Let's see what's going on. So currently over here in Coin Farm, looks like everybody's getting excited. They're starting to buy up again. However, you do still have the shorts at a 54%, which is still saying that there is some bearish momentum. Fear and greed at 11 again. Come on, guys. I mean, listen, the markets are scary, but an 11... And 11, I mean, was anybody around for, the 50% dump that we had in November? I mean, that was like an 11. This is just normal Bitcoin movement. Everybody's overreacting here just a little bit, guys. This happens, okay? So we fell out of this bear flag. Should we be worried? Well, zoom out, have a look. You can see right here that we're actually still being supported by this uptrend. So we are still putting in a higher low. If we fall down into this danger zone, well, then we could have a bit of a situation on our hands. You can see there was this one wick that we came down to about $9,500. So there is a potential chance that there could be some kind of a wick that might go down to $9,500. But currently we are maintaining above this, right? Is this a good opportunity to put in a short? Well, that is a question that we're going to have to look into this a little bit more, because currently you can see right here, once again, we are trapped between these two moving average. Now, we have been supported by the 100 daily moving average, so this is a good thing. I mean, you could literally see we touched it and it provided absolute support. So we weren't able to maintain above the 50, but the 100 is still holding us nice and steady. Now, having a look at this sort of curve that we've been putting in, well, we did have the dump. However, we still could potentially come down to some of these lower levels. For example, this curve is showing that if we were to wick down today, we would put in around a $9,660 Bitcoin, which once again, could possibly provide a good short-term long opportunity, right? If that's what you're looking to play. Obviously, we had great opportunities for shorts during some of this resistance. Now it looks like we're going down to retest some of these supports, right? Having a look at the EMA ribbon on the daily, well, we are well below it. We are looking to be supported by the absolute bottom, the 89. Now, as you can see right here, we had this flip right here back just before, well, actually, it was just before that major blast on it was April 1st. We all thought it was an April Fool's Day joke, right? Nope. We started off a massive, massive uptrend. And you can see right here, we have been supported 1, 2, 3, and now 4 times by the 89 on the EMA ribbon on the daily. So currently, that is also looking nice. And having a look at our exponential moving average, which is currently sitting around 21 exponential, sitting around 8,946. So once again, this is the reiteration of that $9,000 level. That would be the ultimate level level where I would assume pretty much all of the smart money would start piling in. Although you have to be honest with yourself. Are you not surprised that we're putting in this sideways action with all of these things coming out, with BACT coming out, institutional money looking to pour in? Well, I'm not surprised to see this, because the interesting thing is, even though we are seeing Bitcoin actually pull back, having a bit of a cool off, which is natural in these markets, you're still seeing Bitcoin dominance push these higher levels. In fact, according to TradingView, Bitcoin dominance is up to 70.04%. You can see we hit an all-time high. A recent high of around 71.57, with that psychological level around that 70.08, because that's what we put in back on December 4th. So I would still say things are looking quite good for Bitcoin specifically. In fact, just to reiterate a few things that have happened, in July, you had Fed Chairman Jerome Powell cut interest rates for the first time in over a decade, right? Or they're saying that that's what they're going to be doing. In China, the yuan fell below the watershed mark of 7 to the U.S. Against this backdrop, people are still saying that the actions of developed market central banks are turning Bitcoin from a speculative investment into a solid investment that can help to hedge big macro risks. Once again, referring to the Grayscale report, that Bitcoin has the potential to perform well over the course of normal economic cycles, as well as liquidity crises, which, we might be worried about right now, especially those involving currency devaluations. It has a store of value characteristic similar to assets like gold, with hard money attributes like immutable scarcity. However, if we hop over to gold, it does seem that gold seems to be doing slightly better than Bitcoin currently. Why is that? Was that it for Bitcoin? That was our big run, throw in the towel, that's it, right? No, not exactly. And actually, I think one of the best people to turn it over to about what's been happening recently with BACT, is BACT actually going to, really do anything for Bitcoin? Is it just overhyped? Is it already priced in? And also, we need to look at the macro view overall. And obviously, you guys know that Anthony Pompliano is our guy, so I'm going to turn it over to the Pomp, and then we're going to talk about it.
Let's talk mass adoption, because that's the next step a lot of people are looking for, and there's little glimmers of things happening. So Friday, BACT getting approval from regulators for futures on Bitcoin that aren't settled through cash or settled through Bitcoin delivery. People say this will get the eye of institutions and bring more mass adoption. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I definitely do, right? Again, every single week we're seeing more and more infrastructure built around Bitcoin and the crypto markets in general, whether it's infrastructure around the hash rate and the mining, supporting the security of the network, whether it's backed with the physically settled futures. The more infrastructure that's built around this, the more likely it is to never go away. And I think that we're at a tipping point now where Bitcoin is here to stay, and it's going to end up being in every institutional investor's portfolio at some point in the future.
So he says we're at a tipping point, and I think we're at that tipping point right now. And like I said, if you're one of these guys, if you're these whales, if you have that smart money, right? Are you really going to let this thing just fly off the hinges and go straight to the moon when you know the potential? You know what's going to happen. You know the institutional interest. You know what BACT is going to do. You see what's happening globally with the economic crisis, with this pretty much inevitable financial collapse at some point, not saying it's going to be today or tomorrow or next week. Would you really want the price to blast off straight to new all-time highs? I would be doing everything in my power personally to keep this price suppressed so I can accumulate as much as possible before the inevitable. But you know what? That sounds really way too bullish, right? I don't want to be a permabull. I want to be objective. Well, this takes us to part 2 of the discussion, where we basically had Joe asking him, but seriously, is there something that could throw a wrench in the gears? Are we being too optimistic, right? So this is part 2 of what Pomp had to say.
These stock to flow models that we've talked about. If you believed just in that it's 95% correlated so far, and you look at where gold stock to flow is 62, and the next halving in May of next year would put Bitcoin near there, that's a staggering figure to say that it indicates a much higher price. Mm-hmm. What could get in the way of that happening? Would it be regulators? Would it otherwise? You've got if it's so well known that that's where the price should be at the next halving. Why isn't it closer to that price? We're talking about something like 55,000. Is it real? Is it something to really take seriously?
So I think there's 3 components to this. One is regulation could definitely hurt in the short term, right? It scares people away. So that's one thing to watch. 2 is there's still a lot of people who don't even know what Bitcoin is. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand why it's valuable, right? So the number of people who own Bitcoin is still a very small percentage of the world population. And then the third piece is it's still difficult, right? So even if people say, I want to buy some Bitcoin, they've got to go and get a Coinbase, a Gemini account, and they've got to do some work to get there. It's not like just calling up your broker and buying a stock. And so I think that friction is still keeping some people out of the market. Friction is going to go down. People will become aware of it. And I think regulation will get worked out. And ultimately, I think more people will end up getting exposure to this asset. And so that'll be a net benefit to Bitcoin over a long period of time.
I want to flip the conversation a little bit as well and look at some of the criticisms of Bitcoin, which is the fact that, it just continuously gets expensive as more people start to use the network. Well, the interesting thing too is that the average transaction fee has actually been declining at a rate of about 17.95% per week, while the average amount of money sent in transactions in US dollars is actually up over 3% week over week. So we're seeing more activity on the Bitcoin network, but we're seeing the actual cost of transactions going down. Also, in terms of how much computing power Bitcoin is using over the past 30 days, we've seen that its hash rate actually has recently been bouncing around, but ultimately it's been growing by about 0.25% daily. And just yesterday, I showed you guys that we hit an all-time high. Now, there has been some stuff going on in China. We're going to get into that in just a second, but having a look at this gold chart, I do want to talk about some people saying, well, how come gold is performing so well? Because I do have the EMA ribbon pulled up on the gold chart, and you can see the ribbon had a perfect flip right here, completely inverted, signaling full-on bull for gold. And gold is now up about, I think it's over 20% since the ribbon did this. Yeah, it's up about 20% on the nose. So why are we seeing gold up 20% and Bitcoin's pulling down? Some people are saying, see, I told you so, these silly Bitcoiners, right? Well, let's have a look at this. Let's dive in, because if we look at what Cameron Winklevoss is saying, yes, he's invested in Bitcoin. Yes, he obviously has some interest in seeing Bitcoin grow, right? He does own Gemini. He's a co-founder. He's a billionaire, Bitcoin billionaire. He says Bitcoin's going to disrupt gold, but it will also disrupt any volatile emerging market that doesn't put the welfare of its citizens first and foremost. Currently, as seen in the downtrend trajectory of Bitcoin since early June, despite noticeably rising geopolitical risks, Bitcoin is not acting as an inversely correlated asset to the global equities market. However, it has consistently shown signs of a non-correlated asset, demonstrating independent price movement based on the supply and demand within the global cryptocurrency market. So you can see right here, Amazon was e-commerce, and now it's just commerce. Today, Bitcoin is digital gold, but tomorrow it'll just be Bitcoin. We won't need to have these different analogies. We won't have it qualify or compare to these other things. It'll just simply be Bitcoin, and you won't have to explain why it's a good store of value. People will just inherently understand it. Also, like Brian Armstrong from, Coinbase was saying, he said whether institutions were going to adopt crypto or not was a question we were asking 12 months ago. I think it's safe to say we know the answer. He said they're seeing between $200 and $400 million a week in new crypto deposits from institutional investors. And just kind of ending on one of the bearish notes here. Obviously, Mike Novogratz says if Bitcoin goes to $100, well, it's game over, but it won't. It's already established itself as a store of value. He says, stop wasting your time with these tweets and go outside and enjoy the summer. Bitcoin is consolidating before its next move higher. Let that work for you. So instead of freaking out and screaming and fighting and bickering, and some of these communities are getting absolutely nuts. Some of the comments I'm reading on Reddit, guys, every time Bitcoin goes down, people freak out as if it's not going to go the other way like it always does. So take this opportunity as a blessing. If you're out there trading, shorting, longing, fine. If not, then just take the opportunity to dollar cost average at these amazing levels, which are probably not going to be here for much longer. Now, let's talk about this. We have a prolonged rainstorm in China that's caused land and mudslides, forcing some local hydropower plants and Bitcoin miners to halt operations. So this has now affected 17 counties in the area. Some mining facilities have been destroyed, with mining machines now being completely covered in mud. You can see that they're trying to basically pull it out of the mud, right? So they say it's not clear at this stage how many Bitcoin miners in total may have been affected, as they are widely scattered, but based on the data from BTC.com, Bitcoin's 24-hour average hash rate has dropped a little bit, but essentially it's been maintaining somewhat of an average. So unfortunate event, but it does look like it hasn't really affected anything as far as the network is concerned, but it did affect some individuals' profits, that's for sure. Getting on to some different topics, I do want to talk about how Vitalik was a little concerned about Ethereum's scalability. We spoke about this. He said the network was almost full. Now, we do have second layer scaling solutions, right? We do have things like Stellar Network and Matic Network and things of that nature, but Vitalik isn't 100% convinced. Let's have a look. CZ from Binance says, I like Vitalik and ETH, but speed and capacity was a problem a year ago, but now a largely solved problem for newer blockchains. For now, we need to increase real applications that people actually use so that we hit the new capacity issues limits again. Focus on applications. Vitalik says it's not solved at all. Even the newer semi-centralized blockchains have TPS in the hundreds. CryptoVel replied, but why this problem occur? There isn't any solution like Lightning Network or any second layer, to which Vitalik says, I have been getting more and more pessimistic about off-chain data layer 2s over time. Vlad is right. They're just hard to build, require too much application layer reasoning about incentives, and hard to generalize. And we did have a little bit of a rebuttal from Larry Cermak responding to CZ saying it's solved in newer blockchains isn't really presenting the full picture. There are always trade-offs. Newer blockchains, Tron, EOS, Binance Chain sacrifice centralization and censorship resistance for better scalability. Binance Chain still has a single point of failure. Okay, moving on. That's a topic. Have fun in the conversation. Let me know what you guys think about that. So you have Eric Finman, the youngest Bitcoin millionaire in the world. He says, today, Marshall Hayner and I are launching Metal Pay to the masses. We're going to finally bring crypto to the people in ways that Facebook Libra only wishes they could. This is the Libra killer. Metal Pay. All right. I have to check this out. There's so many different, wallets out there. What's your favorite wallet? What do you guys use? Currently, I use Monarch for a lot of my stuff. But there are other ones out there that are really great. I like the Engine wallet. I've been looking into all different kinds of wallets, to be honest with you. I'm trying to find like the most user-friendly one. So, how did that news fare for Metal? Down 4.8. Let's see. Oh, it went up a little bit. It went up. It's actually up in its Bitcoin and Ethereum comparative. So there you go. So people are obviously responding to the news about Metal. Also, we have breaking. According to Zhao Dong, Tether is going to issue CNHT, a CNH pegged stablecoin. So basically, you're going to get, an offshore Chinese yuan CNH that's pegged on Tether. Zhao Dong has basically confirmed this. He says they'll be coming out with this in the near future. Dong further told the news source that his cryptocurrency lending platform, RenRenBit, will be the first one to invest in the upcoming stable token. Also, this is like the most exciting news for me. So ByBit coin swap will be released very soon. So clients will now be able to convert between Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS, or XRP freely in basically whatever you want for a very small fixed fee. How cool is that? I mean, sometimes I have like some Bitcoin on there and I'm thinking about it's a good like opportunity to go in on like an XRP trade, but I don't have any XRP. So then I'd have to like send it to ByBit and convert it. But now you're going to be able to do it directly on ByBit. Game changer. That's what's up. I'm definitely excited about that. And also ending on a just sort of nice note. Congratulations to Adam Trajowski and his son. They won this, they won a Bitcoin, I guess, for this submission. I'm gonna turn this down right here, but you can see basically it's like a stop animation with Spider-Man, and he wants to learn about Bitcoin, so he goes on Amazon and he ends up buying Bitcoin Billionaires and reads the book. So yeah, essentially that was it, but it was really cool. So congratulations. So guys, that being said, having a look, we did fall out of here. We're already starting to wick back up. Like I said, there wasn't really much to talk about today. I mean, we're being supported. 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 So yeah, I mean, guys, we took a hit and all support is holding. So if it doesn't, then we'll get bearish. Currently, could be a good opportunity to put in a long, not financial advice. That being said, my name is K-Dub. I freaking love you guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. The next few days are going to be a little bit hectic for me. I do have some stuff coming up. I'm going to try to get as many videos out as I can. It might be a little bit of a hectic, awkward schedule, but you guys know for the most part, I genuinely pretty much always get a video out every single day. So thank you so much. Once again, hopefully we will have some fun things in store moving forward. Don't panic. Don't freak out.